Hello YouTube, welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy and this is Scruffy Tales. And I've already made a couple of videos about the fact that Ukraine will receive a lot of assault craft from Western nations, giving them the ability to potentially cross the river Dnipro. But recent events got me thinking, has the river war already begun? And we're starting off with Krynky, the town that Ukraine is holding on occupied territory south of the river. And here we have on the 5th of February, where Ukraine had pushed into the town of Krynky. Here we have a point of reference, and take a look, 3 months later. Uh, well, take a look, point of reference, Ukraine has expanded uh, their hold on the town and pushed Russia back. And Ukraine is slowly but surely taking Krynky one building at a time. And of course, a couple of days ago, we learned that Ukraine made a push into the river delta of the Dnipro River, and they claimed they had taken this entire island into Ukrainian possession. But the Russians, they were quick. Only a couple of days later, they had moved in, and parts of the island ended up being contested, and Ukraine only holding on to the center of the island. But Ukraine did make a push uh, across the water and attempted to hold this island, but Russia was quick to respond. And there we go. Where do we have these two locations? Well, Kinki is up here, and we have the river delta down here. So Ukraine has made two attempts to cross the river. Also here in the middle at the Antonov Bridge, but of late they've increased their efforts to grab Kinki, and they have also tried to grab the island here in the delta, potentially trying to secure the delta in order to cross over. And what is the point of all of this? Well, the point more than likely is for these 2 points to, in the long run, if they are successful, connect and link up and grabbing this entire area here. And beyond that, I suspect that Kinky would like to move over here towards the canal, and the foothold here would probably follow the highway down to the coastline so that they can secure this area here before pushing east to reach the canal and Crimea. And there we go. So here's the island where Ukraine tried to cross, and here we have the delta. So why is Ukraine trying to push into here and get to secure the delta? Well, I think it may be because they want Stariska. Here we have Stariska, and in this town we have this area here, which does look a bit interesting. And it's not an industrial port as such, but it is a port that can be used for various boats and definitely for military transports, not large ocean-going vessels, but troop transports and ferries and what have you. So maybe Ukraine wants this town and this area here so that they can bring in not only troops but also equipment. That would be my guess, because it does seem like this area is very well suited to receiving boats, even larger boats. And if we take a look at the coastline in and around the Delta region, this is basically the only region that appears able to receive larger boats if you want to make an amphibious crossing. What about Krynky then? What's the point of crossing here at Krynky? Well, south of Krynky we have a large desert, believe it or not. a nature reserve that acts as a natural barrier that will be difficult for Russia to cross should Ukraine manage to secure Krynky. And from Kinki, Ukraine could then push over here to the canal leading from Kakhovka Dam all the way down to Crimea. And this vital bridge would more than likely be secured by Ukraine, and then they would probably try and push down along the canal to secure the other bridges as well. Because if they succeed in cutting the supply routes here and securing all the bridges, then Russia can't move in reinforcements to threaten the Ukrainians. Not at this bridge, they would have to go down into the countryside and try and reach the other bridges. And if Ukraine manages to secure each bridge, well, then Russia can't really move in troops from this location. Then they would have to rely on troops from Crimea. And if you take a look, this is the canal. It's wide. Here you have a car. Here you have a truck. This is not some small obstacle. Yes, it may not be extremely full of water at the moment after the Kakhovka Dam was blown, but it's a wide, deep ditch. The most basic of defensive structures ever in history, and they work. Deep ditches work for defensive purposes, believe it or not. So continuing with the speculations a bit, yes, I think the reason they are up here is because they want to deny Russia a chance to move in reinforcements from the east by securing the various bridges, forcing the Russians to move down this way in that case and link up with forces from Crimea. And this will then be the only way for the Russians to counter the Ukrainians getting across the river and bringing in supplies and reinforcements. And then if they make use of this port here, they can bring in troops from the other ports up here. And like I said, this is the only real port that I can find along this entire coastline here. So I think this may be the reason why they're going across the delta. And once they have a beachhead, of course, going to push in to try and link up with their friends at the Antonov Bridge, at Kinky, and then probably follow the highway down here so that they can grab this entire area here and then push eastward until they reach the canal itself. And yeah, so I think this is probably what Ukraine is after in the long run. They may try and establish the beachheads this year, the Delta and Krynky, and then by 2025 they may actually try and push across in earnest. And I don't think it's that far-fetched either, because we know that Ukraine will receive over 100 assault craft provided by Sweden, the Netherlands, Finland, and the UK. And they're going to get 13 combat boat 90s. These are assault craft. As you can see, they drive straight up to shore and then troops jump out the front. It's a bit unclear what the Finns will provide, but they also have similar assault craft, Yehu and Jormo, that drive straight up to a shoreline and then troops jump out the front and assault the island, assault the coastline, just like with the Swedish boat. And we know that the UK will provide ORC, offshore raiding craft, as they call them, with machine guns and capable of carrying 6 to 8 troops. And so, I mean, all things combined, it's quite clear that Ukraine is building up an amphibious capability. They want to send a lot of soldiers across a body of water to assault the Russians. And it kind of appears as we may be seeing the initial stages of this river war, with Ukraine expanding their hold on Kinki and trying to push into the river delta. And further evidence that may suggest this is actually happening is that we have several reports from both pro-Ukrainian and pro-Russian sources that on the Russian side of the river in occupied territory, there is a massive increase of drone activity and missile strikes and even airstrikes aimed at the Russians. So the Ukrainians have stepped up their attacks in this area and along the entire front along the river. Sorry, it's in the middle of the night. I'm a bit tired, so my brain is not working as it should be. And so we are seeing multiple drone strikes, multiple missile strikes, and even airstrikes, with the Ukrainian Air Force dropping massive bombs on priority targets in occupied territory all along the river here. So something is going on. Massive increase in attacks on the Russians. Ukrainians are slowly pushing out and gaining more control over Krynky. They are trying to push into the delta, and they will receive some of the best amphibious assault craft in the world, 100 of them, and even more than that, in a month or two. So something is happening, and I think we will see a new front opening up here soon. But like I said, this year they may focus on just establishing a proper beachhead, establishing control over the delta, and then maybe next year they will go in for the real strike, making sure they get a proper beachhead here and can expand their hold here, and then start pushing out into occupied territory to liberate the country. And that's all I have for you this time around, and I hope you enjoyed it. Agree or disagree, as always, leave a comment. And, well, not much else to add. So, as always, go på marsch, Ukraine, give them hell.